This is the book Fighting a Finished Battle. Chapter 1. Why this suffering? Many have made endeavors to free themselves from the power of sin and from the shafts of the wicked one, but often when they encounter privations, hardships, and suffering, they do ask, does God care? And if he does, why all this suffering? To this there is no answer except that which is provided by the sure word of prophecy which was established by the divine authority. The Bible explores the age-long conflict which has raged for about 6,000 years and is about to terminate. The apostle records, now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels fighting against the dragon. And the dragon and his angels fought, but they were defeated and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. Revelation 12:7-8. The cosmic conflict between good and evil occurred in the realms of space. But the Bible brings to light that though the conflict is not yet over, the devil and his angels did not prevail over him who reigns forever. The devil and his angels were cast out of heaven, but not out of his love or his warm and tender compassion. These beings were created with the freedom of choice, a fundamental principle of God's kingdom, who calls his loved ones to come to him by choice, not by force. The heavenly beings pleaded with him that he may change his thoughts, but due to pride and jealousy that took root in his heart and grew into rebellion against his maker, he strayed from the path of safety and success into that of peril and disaster. Seeing the angels, millions of them, on his side, he found it difficult to confess and admit that he was wrong. Though the probation of the devil and his angels was closed, God did not destroy them, but he left sin to run its course, that his created beings, both fallen and unfallen, might acknowledge God's love and choose who they want to worship, since the antagonism between good and evil was over the throne. If God had destroyed the devil at his very fall, all created beings would be worshipping him out of fear and not out of love, but now everyone has seen the detrimental results caused by these fallen beings. Now the universe can acknowledge that God has always acted in the best interests of his creatures. This is a subtitle in the chapter called The Raging War. It must always be brought to light that God is love. God did not create the devil or desire that we suffer. He ever yearned that his creatures explore his love and live in happiness. But however, there is no logical explanation why Lucifer, holding a prestigious status and being the second in position from Christ, would have allowed pride and envy to take root in his heart. This war is not a physical one, but all about worship. And over the throne, when created as a perfect being, as a covering cherub, God had shared his traits with him as he did to other beings. As his name means, the morning star or the angel of light, the light from God was imparted to him, and the light that shone from God's throne came from him, and he thought he was now superior to his maker. When God said, "Let us make man in our own image," he desired that him also might be consulted in the creation of man. He was jealous with God consulting his Son, and to see God bestowing honor upon his Son, that all angelic hosts bowed before him and gave him praise. Now when he rebelled against God, he also rebelled against his law, and it became his aim to dethrone God and cast doubt on his law. He tempted all the universe to rebel against God by eating of the forbidden tree. Thanks be to God, for they were able to discern that he had already fallen. But when he visited our first parents in a newborn and little world created in the midst of war, he was able to prevail. Since he was not consulted when this earth was formed, it was his great desire to take control of this world. Now his purpose had been accomplished. As like to all beings in heaven, man was also created with the freedom of choice. Man failed to resist his deception. Now through his agents, he is deceiving man not to regard his law as holy. Before his fall, the protection of the law was in his hands, but the very moment he rebelled, him also began to fight the law which had been under his trust to protect. If men could understand the mystery of sin and understand who the devil is, men would, by diligent study and earnest prayer, seek the Lord's face and ask him to shield and protect them from the foe's snares. Men would keep his law, and with great desire to please him, men would even keep his Sabbath holy and believe in the blessings bestowed upon it. We have come to the last subtitle of the chapter, the final destruction of sin. Though sin is an alarming prevalent, it will not reign forever. Since the devil's probation was closed, he is now with great vigor doing all that he can so that he does not perish alone. The Bible records, "Rejoice then, O heaven, and you that dwell therein. But woe to you, O earth and sea, for the devil has come down to you in great wrath, because he knows that his time is short. Revelation 12:12. He is deceiving after deceiving, and one of his greatest deception is the teaching that Sunday, or that the first day of the week, is a day of worship. And many have accepted this deadly teaching, and in his last great campaign himself shall with great glory, with the characteristics that Christ possessed, he shall appear declaring that he transferred the solemnity of the Sabbath to the first day of the week. With signs and wonders he shall deceive many, and great shall be his deceptions. Blessed are those who shall overcome the test, when the Lord shall appear in great glory, marking the end of sorrow, but not the final overthrow of the devil. The devil will be left alone to reflect upon the sorrow, the havoc, and the destruction that he caused. For 1,000 of years, himself will acknowledge the love of God and his justice. The new Jerusalem with the saints shall descend. Though Satan will have acknowledged God's love, when the holy city shall descend, he will devise means to fight God's people, but fire shall rain from heaven, and the devil and his followers will be utterly destroyed. There shall be no more crying, no more death, and no more pain. The earth will be restored, and it will be more magnificent than what it was at first. With the throne of God and his kingdom on earth, the saints shall reign eternally.